Hi, y'all. This is what's happening right now, and it's not my quarantine look. It's my allergies look. So I had to take out my contacts, and I am very much not used to wearing glasses. I wear them only like 10% of the time, but I am blind as a bat without contacts or glasses, so something's needed. Hi. How's everyone hanging in there? I'm pretty much living my best life. I've been thinking about it a lot. This is my ideal lifestyle. This is my ideal, not what's happening in the world and the fear and the chaos, but like what quarantining, is that a word? What doing that has done for my schedule. I prefer working from home. I prefer to be in my home. I like a lot of quiet. This is the rhythm. I like a lot of alone time. I like a lot of me time. Um, this is the rhythm that I like. This is the rhythm that my son likes. And so we've been pretty happy in our house. Not always, not all day, every day, but just a lot. I find myself feeling more happy more happy, more joyful, more calm, just more at peace than I think I felt in honestly years. So, knocking on wood, and I hope I'm not snookering myself into thinking like, ooh, I've got this all handled, which is not what I'm saying, but I'm enjoying the rhythm. So it's been calling to me a lot to do videos because I am a Gemini rising and I have a lot of Mercury in my chart, and I love sharing things verbally. I love writing. I love, doing the social media posts, and I love my blog, and it's been really coming to me to do videos. And so I should have had this ready, but all I can do is be woo woo. Right as I was about to say, all I can do is be me. I do something that's just so very me. So all I can do is be me, and I'm not waiting until I'm flawless to post a video, and I'm not waiting until allergies are gone to post a video, and I'm not, none of that's happening anymore. There's no time for that. And I've been getting pushed by my intuition, my higher self, my guides, um, that there's things that can be shared. And I know there's things that other people have shared. I listen to podcasts all the time, and I watch videos all the time of like monthly forecasts, and read the articles, and they help me so much. Why would I think that I have nothing to share or give? And then if I think I do, why would I not do that just because I don't want to be vulnerable? That's kind of selfish and dumb. So I'm pretty much done with all of that, and we're stepping forward with whatever the hell this is, whatever the hell it's going to be. So I started a few videos, and I was just too rambly. I was very rambly. And so I went to social media and asked my followers, like, do you have any questions, or what are some topics we should talk about? And that's pretty new. I only posted that earlier today, but all of the comments in some form, which is not surprising because people know what I do. In case you guys want to know what I do, hi, I'm Catherine. This is Shadow Channel, and I'm a medium. I'm a channeler. I love working with dream work. I'm a connector. I'm a weaver. And the thing that I always come back to, because I am a medium and because this is the work I do talk about our guides, and I do talk about working with spirits a lot. Keeping in mind that the number one person we should be listening to is ourselves, and the number one place the answers come from is our own intuition, our own higher self. And I never want to forget that. I never want to portray something that makes it seem like I'm saying go outside of yourself for the answers. That's the only place you're going to find answers, because all of the answers we need are within us. But they're here to help us. And they are here to help us. And this is the work I do. So I do talk about working with guides a lot and working with spirits a lot. And there was three main things that I honed down in on so far that seem to be kind of in this category. So there was more comments or questions than this, but they all kind of seem to be like this. Can you talk about working with certain spirits? How do you know who you should work with? How do you know what offerings to give? Another two, they're kind of close to the same. Do you have any tips for those of us just starting to get introduced to our guides, how to contact and communicate with them? Let's start there, because then there's another one that kind of goes, ooh, and does a little tiny offshoot to this. But where I'm at now, you never know for sure, right? You never say you know for sure. Where I'm at right now, the flavor that I get, the way that I put it is that there's kind of like, our brain likes to categorize things. So I'm going to do categorizing things right now, even though I know that's a very, very like linear way of putting things. We've got our ancestors. We've got our guides, our spirit guides. And those are different. Our ancestors can be guides, but we do have ancestors that are with us, and we do have guides that are our guides. And then we've got guides of the collective, and sometimes those come in just when we need them. Like if we need healing help, a guide of the collective that really excels, that their gift is healing, they'll come and work with you in your life for a while. So you'll notice some that, I should have turned my phone on silent before I did this. We're going to do that now. So you will notice some guides come and go for certain times in your life too. And then the other thing that I work with a lot, or some as with the work I do, is that there are beings that used to be incarnate in human bodies that have since left their human bodies, but they haven't left this dimension, this plane of the planet. And so some people call them stuck. Sometimes they're here for a reason. They're not stuck, that they're consciously finishing some stuff. They usually are stuck. And that's a little bit over here. Let me know if you want to talk about it more. So when we're talking about working with certain spirits, and when we're talking about how do we connect with our guides, I feel like it's important to like make that distinction, that we've got guides that are always with us. They're our team. You know, I had a friend that would call it like, this is my management team. I'm having business, I'm having business meetings with my management team. And you get really familiar with them. They're with you your whole life, and it's a relationship. And then that other question, like, how do you know what spirits to work with, is kind of like guides of the collective. So first we're going to talk about your guides. For me, what has been the most powerful, what's the most powerful is to know that they're there anyway, and that we share communication well beyond just words. You know, we can share through thought, we can share through feelings, we can share through many different things. And when working with guides, when working with they'll come into our dreams a lot. We'll meet with them in our dreams a lot. So really the language of dreams, the language of our guides, really the language of magic is symbols and metaphors, especially symbols. And so I find myself recommending a lot. I would say that, yeah, I'm going to say this. There's this book called The Book of Symbols, and I wish I had it right next to me to show to you guys. But if you just go Google The Book of Symbols, Taichen, I believe, Tachen, something like that. But if you just Google A Book of Symbols, it's this big, thick book. It's got a hand on the front. And that is magical for starting this work, especially working with guides. And when you say that you want to work with your guides and you start calling them in, they're gonna start coming into your dreams more. And the language of dreams is symbols. And so that's why I say it's important to really start to understand symbols. I have a couple good examples of this that we could talk about. This is such a vulnerable thing, but it's always the one that I think to share. It's the example that comes to mind, I guess, because it's when I really realized, like, damn, like symbols really are important. I'd been working on healing some sexually traumatic experiences I'd had. And I was working on healing, the womb space. And at one point I sat down and I said, hey, guides, can you send me a confirmation? Confirmations are huge when you're working with your guides. Can you send me a confirmation that, like, am I really moving stuff? Am I on the right track here? I need a confirmation. And that night I had a dream that I was eating an apple. And I wasn't just eating an apple, I was like devouring an apple. It was one of those, it was definitely a lucid dream where like I could taste it, and it was running down my chin, the juices of it, and I ate the core, the seeds, everything. I just devoured it. And you know that feeling when you have a dream that you're like, there's something to that, you know, and it has a different feeling, a lucid dream. And so then the next morning I wake up and I look up in the book of symbols, apple. And it's talking about a lot of what the apple is about is if you split it, it's a symbol for um, healed and whole feminine sensuality and sexuality. And like if you cut an apple open and you look at the shape of it, it replicates the reproductive organs and the in a lot of ways the vagina. And so I took that as such a like a confirmation, like, yeah, I'm on the right track, because look at what I've been working on, healing and clearing of the womb space. And so that is an example of how you can work with symbols in your dreams and with working with your guides. When you connect with your guides, quite often it will come in dreams, especially for the first part, because that's when our ego's guard is down, kind of, our brain is kind of turned off. And really in dreams, all dreaming is you go into a different dimension where things are easier to, communication is easier, and it's that part of us that's plugged into all that is. And so it's an easy space for our guides to come in and share information with us, confirmations, answers, guidance. They don't know everything, and we know nothing. You know, they don't want groveling devotees. This is a relationship. But they have a perspective that is different than the perspective we have. And perspective is like a magic wand. If you have enough of it, if it's heightened enough, if it's widened enough, perspective is everything. Because then you have clarity, you have information to be able to make choices, and you see clearly what's needed, and you're able to powerfully step forward with, the what's next. I do recommend, it's been everything for me. I recommend setting up an altar. And I remember when I first heard about altars, I was like, because I was raised in like a very Christian religion. And I was like, what the fuck? Like an altar, like Abraham sacrificed his son on, or was gonna, or whatever that story is. Kind of, really, an altar is just, it's a sacred space. It's a space, it's a table for communion. It's a place to meet. It's a place to meet. And so you can find a windowsill. You can use the top of your dresser. You can dedicate a table to it. Just, any space in your house. You can choose an outdoor altar. I have an outdoor altar and an indoor one. And there's a lot of information. I'm going to post some too eventually when the energy is right, about how to set up an altar. But really, for me, I say that the altar is just what is a safe place where little hands or animals won't, the dogs won't knock it over, or the kids won't get to it, or whatever it is. But a place in your house, however big or small, that is reserved for something special. And then you just put things on it that mean something to you. If you've got goddess statues, or if you've got a picture of someone you love, or if you've got a picture that your kid drew for you, or, just you put things on it that you feel are very special, that you hold sacred to you. And I personally have a candle on my altar that's always lit, that's always burning. And each candle, I do 7-day candles, and each candle is held with an intention and blessed with an intention, a request, an energy before it's lit. And so I always have fresh water on my altar. You can put it in a special cup that means something to you, for a time period when it calls to me. I use my grandma's china teacups, or something that you just think is pretty or just clean, but like, how would you treat a guest that came to your house? If you were to offer them something, you would give them at least a clean cup or something that looks nice. And I always have fresh water on my altar, and between the flame and the water, that's, beautiful elements. and water is a living thing. You know, I think it's good to always have a living thing on your altar. It keeps the energy alive. And then this altar becomes a place where you can communicate back and forth. You go to the altar, whether it's daily and lighting a tea light candle, or whether you go to it and that's the place, you know, you sit at the base of your altar to meditate or journal. You know, it's a place to commune. And for me, feeding the altar and keeping it, it's really just keeping the energy from being stagnant, keeping the energy alive. It keeps this, you can see my cat wandering in the background. It keeps this sacred space, this portal for communication from being stagnant. It keeps it alive. It keeps it clear. It keeps it open. And, you know, so for instance, when I had my dream about the apple and then I read that in the Book of Symbols, I went to my altar and I refreshed the water for the day. And my guides love it if I share a cup of coffee with them in the morning. And so shared some coffee and just, you know, just sit with it and say, I love you. And I happened to have an apple in my fridge, and I cut it open and I left the apple as an offering on the altar. And that's an offering, but it's also something that you put into the space of communication saying, I hear you, I received this message. And it starts to do that brain chemistry where it strengthens the connection between the brain that us humans have and the psyche, the unconscious, the subconscious. It sends a message back saying, hey, message received. And you start weaving it and it gets stronger. I'm realizing as I'm talking about this that this could be its own whole video. And it may be, this might be the first one that I start with, and then we go into working with spirits of the collective. Examples of those could be Hecate, Kali, Oya, Venus, Lucifer, Belial, Freya, the Morrigan, the you know spirits of the collective, Odin. I mean, that could be its own one too, you know. And I don't want to make this too long because I'm still learning how to upload these, and I don't know how long it will be too long. So I would say get the Book of Symbols, and, you know, order off Amazon, Google it, whatever. Like, I'm not making a recommendation. I take it back. Like, order it wherever you want to order it, get it however you choose to get it. And then set up your altar space. In whatever space it is, you know, clean it, clear it, maybe spray some Reiki spray over it, or just you can soak some basil and some rosemary and some cedar, or just one of those in water overnight, and then use that water to clean and clear it. And then if you don't want to have a candle always lit on your altar, I would bless the altar with a candle. So on the day that you bless your altar, the day you set it up and you say, okay, now I have an altar, here it is, it's set up, I would clean it off, I would light a candle, and I would always have some fresh water on it. And I just bring the water to the altar and I just say, I love you, good morning, hey. And they say, hey girl, you know. And they'll share more with me about what they want at the time. Offerings is a way to show that this is a relationship, and in some ways I honestly don't know how to say it with human words why offerings are so powerful. But my work with spirits, my work with my guides too, really took off, really went into a deeper and different space when I really became dedicated to offerings. And that doesn't mean that I leave them offerings every single day. I mean, I leave the water every single day. I always have a candle. The candle is to strengthen the communication and to keep the energy from being stagnant. But it is an offering too. But I don't leave something just every day, but, you know, I try to a few times a week, leave some fresh fruit or some, it depends on who's coming in at the time. My spirits love coffee, and so leave some coffee. My spirits love libations. They love, you know, they're like, girl, can a spirit get some whiskey? Can I have some red wine? So I don't overdo it on that, but they're powerful. They know what they want and they know when they want it. And so it really is nice to leave, like, if you feel like you've got a guide that is, you know, a powerful woman that has an energy of like Venus or Oshun or the Empress, you know, very beautiful and loving and romantic and love sensual and beautiful things and just a lot of love, you know, leave her some red wine one night if you want to. You don't have to. It depends on, you know, your relationship with alcohol. And leave her some strawberries, leave her some dark chocolate, you know. Um, and it's hard because these all weave together. I was about to go into a whole nother thing. So offerings to me are important as well. If you want to do, if you're someone that likes to do writings, if you like to do intention writings or vision boards or, you know, things like that, the altar is a perfect place to put it. I have intention writings on my altar almost all the time. Sometimes it's just a word that keeps coming to me that I'll write and I'll put on there. Sometimes I'll have a dream. Do you ever have a dream that you're like, you know, it's important, but you feel like you're grasping, like it's on the tip of your tongue? Like you woke up and it was on the tip of your dream. Like you're like, oh, what was that? What was that? If there's only one word or a couple phrases here and there or one or two symbols that you got from that dream, put them on your altar, even if you just draw them, you know? You can do a cute little figurine if it's an animal that came in, or you can just draw something really quick. You can just write the word and put it on your altar. And that's sending the message like, I got this, and I'm, you know, I'm asking for that to be strengthened. And, you know, and that's the part of the message I received. Give me more. Another thing that people wonder about all the time is, should I be nervous to call in my guides? And what am I going to open myself up to? Now, just by the nature of having guides, we're already divinely protected. We are already divinely protected. I call them my traffic controllers. Sometimes they double as security team. Sometimes the traffic controllers and the security team, but the traffic controllers and the security team always work together. But really the intention is, and you can do this when you're setting up your altar, is no one is allowed into no one or no energy is allowed in this space unless it's for my highest good, unless they are well, healthy ancestors, unless they come in with integrous intent, you know, only loving energy here. And I don't want to be unwise. I don't think I am. Do that as much as you need to. Do that as much as you feel like you need to for your own concerns, for, you know, while you're working on stuff. I know that I've had different levels when I've been, you know, I had spirits come in and start shaking me by the shoulders in the middle of the night. And so I started with like some really intense stuff, I guess. And I would do little practices to kind of strengthen my courage while also calling on this on a regular basis. You know, I used to call on it on a regular basis, that I would open a circle and I would say only that is of integrous intent, and only well healthy energy is allowed in here, and only things that are for my highest good are allowed in this space. And then after a while I started just to realize, like, I'm protected all the time. I'm protected all the time. They are always with me, you know. So I like to recommend, if you feel like you want to call on that and that soothes and satisfies your brain while you're starting this work, by all means do it. Like, yes. And also, when you first set up your altar, call in whatever you want to call them, your security team, your bouncers, your, you know, call in protection and say, hey, I know you're there, and I just want to set up this intention, you know, when you're blessing your altar. And then it's always there. It's always there. It's always there. And so it is until the end of time. Your protection is always there. And then it's good to know, because if things start getting really active for a while, it can sometimes, you know, it's awesome, and sometimes it can seem confusing because you don't know what it means at first, and you have to piece things together over a period of time. And it's really good to know that I have protection in place. Nothing was allowed over the threshold that didn't have integrous energy, well energy, and wasn't for my highest and best good. So if something's in my space, if something happened, I know it's for a reason, and I know it's for me. And that's good to know while you're working through things. I love burning resins. My guides personally love copal. They love dragon's blood. It's very intense though for me, so I usually burn that one out only a little bit inside and then move it outside. They love copal. They love frankincense. So I personally like that. I'm not a big sage burner. I'm not even going to get into that right now, like everyone in their sage. I also love I call it Reiki spray. You can call it whatever you want. Mixing essential oils in and diluting it in some spring water. Really, really dilute it. Like, you don't need that many essential oils, and spraying it. And so you can do stuff like that to kind of clear up your space. And if you don't have anything, you can just clap your hands too. Clap your hands all around, and it breaks up the energy around your space. If things start to feel like they're getting too stagnant or too intense all at once, if things are coming in all at once. This has been rambly, and I'm posting it anyway. I love that the first real video I'm posting, consciously knowing that I'm going to do it, knowing that I'm going to post it when I record it, I'm in my PJs, needing to get my roots done, wearing glasses, window open, lawnmowers coming in, and, you know, no script. So if you're here and if you're liking this, and if you continue to watch or listen, then goddamn, it's got to be for a reason, because I certainly didn't make it too snazzy or fancy. But I love you for listening. I love you for watching. I love myself for posting, and we'll go for it anyway. So I think in the next one, I'm keeping them short at the beginning, but I think I am gonna have outlines, because I do tend to ramble. So I won't have a script, but I'm gonna have an outline, and once I make sure that I feel comfortable with the process of how you upload these, I'm gonna be doing longer ones. And so the next one I will get more into if you're working with specific spirits or energies. And then we're going to expand upon that to talk about universal beings and what they're thinking about what's happening right now, and how they're all helping us as a collective and as individuals. So, yeah.